Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my first impressions of the TRM, Three Rivers Manufacturing Neutron 2, or the Neutron. So I got this at Blade Show. I went over to the booth with Justin, the knife dude, and we're over there chatting with Marianne, who is a fantastic person, by the way. She's absolutely lovely. And we were chatting, and, he was talking to her about the Facebook group or whatever. And the whole time I'm just sitting there, and there's this knife, right? There was a few Neutrons just sitting there. And this one was at the top, and it just, mesmerized me, the color of these scales. So I pick it up, and I'm just sitting there playing with it through the whole conversation for 5 minutes or whatever. And, we're kind of wrapping things up, and I'm just like, man, I think I need to take this knife. It just somehow spoke to me. I did not go to that booth looking for a knife. That's the funny story. I love TRM as a company. I really do. I love Marianne. I love all the girls over there. Everybody knows how good they are, right? But I haven't really ever fallen in love with one of their knives. I had the original Neutron in carbon fiber last summer. I had that one, which was cool because it had a reversible clip. I swapped it to deep carry because you could fit a Benchmade clip on there. And I really liked it. But I ended up selling it because I would get drunk, and then I'd be fidgeting with my knife, which I like to do, and not paying attention. I would close the knife like this, start pulling down, and the way that one, for some reason, I closed it was different. I would grab the thumb stud right here, so push over and then grab this thumb stud. See what I just did? It came all the way down onto my thumb. I've learned since then you can just, grab the back of the blade. You have a little more control. But anyway, when you're intoxicated, you're not thinking absolutely clearly. And I'll just go like this, and then my thumb comes up, and I'll end up with the knife right in my thumb like this. And I cut myself a few times with that Neutron. And even though I really liked it as an EDC blade and everything, I just wanted to move on from it because it wasn't... it was a safety issue, if you know what I'm saying. There's more me than the knife, but... So, I sold that, and then eventually, not too long ago, I picked up an Atom. Or actually, I picked up a Shadow first, and I got to review that. And I just wasn't a huge fan of the detent on that knife. It's an Axis-style lock, the river lock, so it's not really a detent. But it was just weak, and the way that the studs were angled, you just really had to give it gas to fire that out on the Shadow. And I know a lot of people like that, and that knife is super popular for good reason. It's a fantastic cutter, great EDC knife. I also didn't like the thumb studs as they would catch in my pocket coming out. Again, a personal thing. So I ended up moving on from the Shadow. I gave it a very solid, positive review with a couple of those little nitpicks I mentioned. And I moved on from that. And then I got an Atom in a trade, I believe. Or I picked it up on Knife Swap or something. Which is basically the big version of this, right? It's a 3.5-inch version of this. So this, I believe, is 3... Let's see. This is a bug out, so it's 3.25, I believe. Looks like it's going to be, 3 inches maybe on this blade? A little over 3 inches, something like that. It's hard to judge it. But yeah, I think it's going to be a little over 3 inches on it. Here's a Paramilitary 2, which is 2.92? Yeah, so I'm going to go with 3 inches on this. So the Atom is a 3.5-inch version of this, basically. So picture this length on the blade and the handle and everything, close to this. All right, so stretch that out, right? And that's what the Atom is. So I had that, and I don't know, it just never resonated with me. It just felt kind of too big, like too long and too skinny for what it was, right? You just had all this blade on this, I don't know, it was just weird. The proportions are weird to me on the Atom. And on the Neutron, they make much more sense. Like, it just fits my hand perfectly. I have good control of it. It doesn't feel awkwardly large or whatever, so it's just great, right? Anyway, so I got rid of the Atom because of that, and I didn't have the best time taking it apart and trying to put it back together. I did a video on it, and or I tried anyway. I can't remember if I posted it. The pivot just didn't want to seat all the way through, and it's just a very kind of complicated, if you want to go there, construction. It's just better not to take them apart, to be honest. You know, obviously you could take the scales off and do the swap with the scales. That's easy. But taking the whole thing down and back together was a pain for me with the Atom. Anyway, so I sold that. And I just wasn't planning on getting another one. I don't have a need for these super thin EDC blades that aren't super fidgety. They just aren't that fidgety, right? Or so I thought, really. I do office work. I'm not like a heavy user, so it does make sense, but I prefer something with, you know, tons of deployment methods and great action and stuff like that, like this Sumo, which can still cut very well. It's still a great blade. But, you know, the cutting performance to me usually is secondary to action and ergos and aesthetics and stuff like that. I know that's weird to some people, but that's my experience. That's how where I come from when it comes to knives. Having the thinnest, sliciest thing on the planet isn't always my first priority. I just want to be able to open my boxes, open packages, slice an apple from time to time, cut some tape, you know, stuff like that. Occasionally cut a rope or a string or a zip tie. Doesn't have to be this super slicey thing or this super beefy thing. Anyway, so I just wasn't expecting to get one, but this thing just spoke to me so much, and most of that is these scales. It's this Techwood. It's called Emerald City Techwood. And from what I understand from Marianne, Techwood is a made-up word. They made it up. There is this stuff called Diamond Wood, and apparently that company went under. They burnt down or something happened. And now there's all these other companies making stuff the same way as them, and they all have different names for it. So TRM just calls it Techwood. And this is the Emerald City Techwood, and it's just stunning. It just sucked me in. It just has me mesmerized still. And the Techwood has this really soft feel to it. It almost feels like a foam or something. It's really weird. Like, it almost feels like you can push in soft, like it's almost soft on top. It's not. It's hard. It just feels so good in hand. It warms up right away. I'm just absolutely loving it. And I think the changes from the Neutron to the Neutron 2 are absolutely wonderful. This deep carry clip that comes with it is perfect. Struggling to try to get a Benchmade clip on and worrying if it'll ruin it or screw up something, you know, you just get a nice deep carry clip right off the bat. Having these nested liners looks so much better. That's the one thing I really liked about the Atom is the nested liners. The first Neutron, you could see the titanium scales, right, which I think made it a little bit thicker than this. I'm not sure, but and then the action, guys. This thing is just fantastic. Shoots out of there with those studs, and then it drops down, little shake, and she's home. I'm having a blast fidgeting with this one. It's a lot more fun than the first one was, to be honest. I don't know what the difference is. I will say when I had that first one, I wasn't the best at Spidey flicking yet. And I think that's a big difference because if you're only thumb flicking this as a lefty, it's not that great because the cutout is on this side for the right-handed thumb, right? But that means as a lefty, if you Spidey flick, it's perfect. And it really is. So now that I Spidey flick as kind of my main deployment method for knives, if I can, this just feels so much better than the first Neutron I had. That lock bar releases nice and easy. It is super smooth on these washers. It's glassy, I dare say. Glassy, like a CRK. It just feels really good, guys. And the ergos fits my hand phenomenally well. There's no hot spots or anything in my left hand. In my right hand, I don't feel that clip at all either. It feels great. I mean, I know it's there because it's kind of out off the frame, but there's not like a hot spot or pokey point or anything. This stonewash is absolutely fantastic. This thing is as sharp as you can probably get a knife to be. Super thin. This was a 2-dot or a factory second because there's this tiny mark or line or something on the blade right there. I don't even know if you can see it. It's that minuscule. So I got this with these scales for $200, which I think is a steal because I looked these up and I think these scales are like $90 by themselves. And I believe a Neutron 2 is normally like $220 or something. So, you know, that's what you get if you go to Blade Show and you get a factory second. I'm loving it, guys. It's just a really cool looking knife. It's a useful knife, you know, so this is going to be my kind of like new super lightweight carry knife, like gym shorts, stuff like that I used to throw a bug out in the pocket for. You know, I'm probably going to throw this in there just because I'm more excited to carry this than I am a bug out. Also, the weight, guys, I honestly do not think this weighs more than this bug out. Pretty sure they're like identical in weight, or possibly this is heavier. It's really close. This thing can't weigh more than 2 ounces. So it just goes into gym shorts perfectly with that deep carry clip. One thing I do want to note is it's not reversible. So the liners are tapped for lefty. So I will say that. TRM doesn't currently sell left-handed tapped scales, which I find a little weird. What is that? Oh, it's the clip. I don't know. I find that a little weird that they don't. Hold on, I'm just going to be careful here and check the screw. Uh-oh. Is it a T8? No. Yeah, I think it's T8. That's cool. They were T6s before. Oh, wait. No, it's T6. What? Okay, hang on here. Oh, it was loose as hell. Oh my god. I didn't even notice that it... Holy cow, I didn't think it was, I didn't think it was catching in the tooling because it was so loose that it was just spinning freely. That's crazy. Sorry, that's hard to explain, but I'm just going to check all these now because that was close to probably falling out. Alright, so we're good now. Yeah, I felt a little bit of a tap when I was down here, so I just wanted to double check that. I don't think that changed anything. Everything looks good. Yep, still good. No blade play on here. It drops like that and drops down. I mean, for a brand new knife, I think that's fantastic. Centering is excellent. Dead on, dead nuts. I mean, that's one of the hardest parts with these knives is centering, and the tolerances are so tight. I mean, think about how thin this knife is. There is no space in that pivot. There's no space, and that's one of the reasons I had trouble with the Atom. Everything has to be seated absolutely perfectly to get it to function the right way. So it's just better not to mess with it. But I think I've rambled on enough about this one, guys. I just really like it. I'm very glad that I picked it up. And it was a surprise. Like, out of all the knives I bought, this was the biggest surprise one. Like, I didn't have it on my mind in any way, shape, or form to pick one of these up. I honestly was talking to Knife Dude and Casey and Kyle when we were at Blade Show heading to TRM. I was talking about how I love the company, but I don't really want any of their knives. And then I ended up sitting there just playing with this, and I had to have it. The other big key feature here is that it's made in America. So for that price point, made in America, it's phenomenal. And real quick, I kind of lost my train of thought there. They will tap these for lefties, so I'm sure if you contacted them and asked if you could send your scale in or your knife in, they would probably do it for you. And if you buy one directly from them, like if you get one on a drop or something, you can ask to have them tap your scales for lefty, and they will do it for you. So, just keep that in mind. They're also going to offer that on the Titanium Shadow, I believe she told me. It comes right hand only, but if you happen to get one, you can ask, and they will tap it for lefty. So us lefties really appreciate that lefty love we're getting from TRM. Yeah, it doesn't come stock, but that's because you got to keep that show side clean according to everybody. So I get it. This is the TRM Neutron 2 in Emerald City Techwood. Absolutely fantastic knife. I am loving it. I appreciate you guys listening to me rant and rave as usual. I love you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.